That's a great question. The bond between and the relationship between members of Congress probably is not discussed much. And give you an example, historically, Congress was kind of bunkered in for the 3 or 4, 6 months period of time because of transportation. But this day and age, probably maybe 90% of members of Congress live back home in their own home districts so that they can stay closer to their constituents, and they leave their family back home. In years past, they would move their family temporarily to Washington, D.C. One of my childhood friends, Lawton Stevens, who's a judge in Athens, Georgia, his father, Robert Stevens, was our 10th district congressman. I remember Lawton was in my carpool, but he would be gone for months at a time when his dad was in session in Congress, and then he'd come back and kind of have his Athens life, his normal life, if you will. But as a consequence, his dad, Robert Stevens, and Lawton, he got to know other congressional children, and the congressional families did get to know each other because they were all camped out in this strange town experiencing something that was unique. This day and age, I will typically work in the district. I might be down in Brunswick, Georgia, speaking to a Rotary Club, come back to the Savannah Airport, hop on a 2 o'clock, 2:30 flight, be in Washington for 6:30 votes. Votes typically start on Monday or Tuesday at 6:30 at night. We vote for about 30 minutes, and then there's dinners or whatever. You go back home, and we're in session for about 3 days. And as soon as that last vote's taken, we all rush out. And whether you're from California, New York, or Florida, you rush down the Capitol steps, go straight to National or Dulles Airport, and hop on the next flight out of town. And usually you're doing something in your district the next day. Well, as a consequence of that, congressmen don't spend that much time together, which makes it harder sometimes to get along and move things or to communicate. What I have found to be very helpful, I'm a member of a Bible study up there, and it's good bipartisan fellowship, and you're really talking about family and not talking about legislation, you're talking about some of the stress issues about being separated from family. The other thing is being a member of the gym. People hate the idea of Congress actually having a gym. It's nothing fancy, but it's bipartisan, great fellowship. When you're in there, you have an opportunity to kind of be in an atmosphere where everybody can talk. I've also played on the congressional baseball teams and football teams. These are all done on your own time after hours, so let me stress that because people say, well, we didn't send you up there to do that. But the reality is you need to stay physically fit. The football team raises thousands and thousands of dollars for the children of fallen police officers. The baseball team raises money for childhood literacy and a number of other good charities. Lots of fun, but it's all bipartisan. And I can tell you sports is a great mixer and mingler. Does not mean that you're going to get along or you're going to vote with each other on everything, but it does mean that you can talk to each other, and it's really important. And so we have to look for ways to rebuild the bond, I believe, in Congress, not so that you'll be more Washington oriented, but just so that you can remove some of the friction and some of the suspicion to get things done for the good of the country. Another way, and people hate Congress to travel, but the reality is I think it's very healthy for members of Congress to know where Uzbekistan is or Tajikistan, and to have some understanding of what Eastern Europe looks post-Soviet, and what's happening in South America. That's in America's interest. Well, often when you go on these trips, you get to know people, and I think that's very helpful. I had gone in this last year down to Central America, to Honduras and Guatemala, because of the situation with the mass immigration, particularly of younger people that we're getting from those areas. So we went down there on a trip to talk to the countries and talk to our own people about what we can do. Sat on a plane the entire time next to Joe Kennedy and had not gotten to know him because we don't serve on any committees to each other, but we came back with a good working relationship. Again, doesn't mean we're going to vote with each other, but we can talk to each other. So I think building a bond as a member of Congress is very, very important. And so I would argue that you got to get involved and be proactive as a member.